In this video, I'm going to show you the best settings for sports and action photography for the Nikon D3400. And if you want more great photography videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want to learn more about the D3400, make sure to check out the playlist in this card. And when you're shooting sports and action, you want to make the camera as fast and as responsive as possible. And to do that, we're going to start by changing the release mode of the camera. Normally, when you take a photograph, you press down the shutter button halfway, and it locks focus on your subject, and you press it and it takes a single photo. And when you hold that shutter button down, it won't take any more photos. It's just one at a time. But with action, you often want to take a bunch of photos together. So if you press this button here on the back of the camera, that brings up the release menu, and you can switch over to the continuous mode, which will allow you to take a series of photos in a row. Now, once you've got the burst mode set, you're going to want to optimize the focusing mode because the camera is still set to focus as if the subject were not moving. So there's going to be two settings that we're going to change to optimize the focus. To get to them both, you're going to use the I button on the back to activate the quick menu. And when you do that, you want to go down to the lower left option, which is the focus mode, and change that to continuous focus. That's going to allow the camera to track the moving subject in the scene. After you've set that, you want to go to your AF area mode option, which is right next to it, and you want to set that to either dynamic area autofocus or 3D tracking. And what I recommend you do is actually test the two of these on some moving subjects to see which works best for you. The difference is that the 3D tracking mode is basically automatic. The camera will try to identify and track the subject for you. And for a single moving subject, that's probably going to be fine. But if you have, say, a bunch of kids playing a sport, this might not work very well because it has the potential to pick a subject that isn't the one you want the camera to focus on. The other option is the dynamic area autofocus. And what that allows you to do is specify a subject with the focus points in your camera, and then the camera will try to identify and follow that specific subject regardless of the other subjects that might be in the scene. Once you have that set, one of the things you have to realize is that your camera has a limited ability to take photos continuously. So when you press down the shutter button in that burst mode and you start taking photos, notice how many photos I'm able to take before the camera just stops. That was about 6 or 7 photos there. And the reason it stopped is because the camera has a limited amount of internal memory that it can use to hold the photos as you're taking them. See, the camera has to take those photos and then shuttle them over to the memory card, and that takes time. And if you take too many pictures too quickly, then the camera memory will fill up and you won't be able to take more photos. So when you are using burst mode, be careful. Don't just hammer that button down and start taking photos and expect it to continuously go forever. You're going to need to try to anticipate the moment you want to capture and then take a burst of photos and then stop so that you don't use up that buffer. Now, you can help that buffer work a little bit faster by changing the image quality that you are shooting. You can access this on the back of the camera, again, by activating the quick menu with the I button. And up on the top here, we have the quality option, which I currently have set to RAW plus JPEG. And RAW files are very large files. They're great files, but for shooting sports, sometimes RAW is actually a detriment because those files are so big and it makes your camera less responsive. If you want to be able to capture as many photos as quickly as possible, then what I would recommend you do is set your quality to JPEG Fine. That is the largest quality JPEG you can get, no RAW file whatsoever. And by doing that, when I now shoot a burst, I can almost shoot without having to stop at all. You could hear a couple of spots where it started to slow down, but it's able to pretty quickly move those JPEGs over to the memory card and just keep firing photos. Now, when shooting sports, I still don't recommend that you just hold that button down and just keep capturing images, because when you go back to your computer and you have thousands of images to go through, that's going to be overwhelming. Still try to target the action you're capturing, but as you can see, in shooting JPEG only, you're able to capture more photos in sequence than when shooting with a RAW file. Now, with those settings, you've optimized the camera to allow it to be as responsive as possible for capturing your images. The last thing to worry about is your actual ISO, aperture, and shutter speed settings that you're going to use for taking the sports photos. And I can't tell you what ISO, aperture, and shutter speed to use because every situation that you're going to find yourself shooting in is going to be a little bit different. But what I do have is a free step-by-step guide that will take you through the process of selecting the best ISO, aperture, and shutter speed for the environment that you are shooting in when you are taking sports photos. So if you want to get that guide, you can visit that link right here. And if you have any questions about the D3400, check these playlists in the card because I've got a whole bunch of D3400 videos. And if I haven't answered it in those videos, let me know down in the comments. And then subscribe to my channel for more great photography videos. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you don't miss a single one of my videos. And then get your D3400 and get out there and take some damn photos.